You're listening to a Comics XF podcast.
X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast, where we rank every story from A to Z. I don't know why I did a voice there, Adam.
That's okay. I'm Adam, and you can do a voice whenever you want.
Because I'm the bad boy of X-Men podcasting, Zach James. Hey.
Hey. And, you know, it's okay to be confused. We are reading some just confusing comics this week. This is our annuals episode. So we're talking about annuals.
I'm not doing the math, but this is more than annual.
Did we already annually talk about annuals?
I bet we did an annuals episode this year.
You know, it's not bad to go a little early for your annual checkup. So it's the same kind of thing. And maybe this is about as unpleasant as that can be, you know? Because I'm starting to think annuals might, like, I've always been on the side of annuals thinking that they're fun.
You're pro
But now
annual.
I'm thinking that might not be the case.
I don't know what to tell you. It very much has never been the case. Annuals, historically, have all been bad. That's why they weren't in the regular comics, because they were annuals. I'm just kidding, but also kind of not. When's the last time you read a good annual?
Yeah, they don't really make them anymore, but
they do. All of the companies make annuals every year.
Do they? I don't know.
Yeah, bud. There was an X-Men annual this year.
There was? Oh, right. It was Firestar. That's right. Yeah, they did that one show. Was that this
last year? That was last year's X-Men annual. This is X-Men annual volume 5. Yeah, Adam. Are you telling me that you're not up to speed with the Contest of Chaos?
Oh, that was terrible. I did read that. Whoa, that was bad. That was real bad. That was the one.
Was the Firestar one, yes.
Yeah, that was like Storm and Iceman fighting in a cave or something. That was bad.
No, it was a bunch of characters fighting Spider-Man and Wolverine, Iron Man versus Storm, Human Torch versus Ghost Rider, Moon Knight versus Takenouchi, who I do know, I just don't speak Korean at all. Spider-Gwen versus White Fox, Venom versus Deadpool, and Cyclops versus Captain Marvel.
Oh, okay. I think I read this.
Anyway, I don't know why I said all of those. These aren't good comics.
No. So, the annuals that we've selected this week are in keeping with the annual crossover event, right? Which is similar to what you just described.
Contest of Chaos.
Right. You know, you come up with a fun, catchy title like Atlantis Attacks, and you just slap it on all the covers, and you hope that people buy all the different titles, you know, and they could get a complete story.
And that's a terrible way to sell a comic, by the way. I'm just like, y'all, it does not make sense the way that our first suggestion goes to go from Uncanny X-Men Special Volume 1 to Iron Man Special Volume 1, Number 1, to Nova Special Volume 1, Number 1. Why would I know? Why would I? Just put out 3 books. I get it. Oh, Number 1s are the only thing that sell. Y'all, maybe you have a bigger issue here.
That's okay. All right. So what is our request this week from our lovely patrons?
I just told you it was Uncanny X-Men Special and Iron Man Special and the Nova Special, but I didn't give you the title of that or mention who was on Patreon, Adam.
Yeah, tell me who it is.
The thing about Patreon supporters like Patrick Stump is that they went over to patreon.com/Battle of the Atom, reached deep down into their hearts and pocketbooks and tossed just a couple of pittance of coins into our coffers, and I'm forgetting what I say. And thank you, Patrick. $5 if you want to be like Patrick. It's great. Hey, the line's short.
Get to the head of it. Go make some requests. You too
make
can
some requests, people. Because what Patrick suggested is the 2014 annual crossover, No End in Sight.
Oh, thank God there was an end in sight. It was only 3 issues because This is bad. I don't even want
I
to talk about
assume
it
that
yet.
you
It's just
also
bad.
didn't read this in 2014, right?
No, I remember this coming out, and I remember going, "Why is Uncanny crossing over with Iron Man and Nova?" I think I remember flipping through this and also being like, "Who is drawing this?" Like, it just looked so cheap and flimsy. And
It's Ron Atkins followed by Ramet Handoko and John Timms. That's who's drawing it.
yes,
In case you were curious.
and on writing duty, I've not read other comics by this person.
Sean Ryan was an editor at Marvel for a while, had been an editor at DC, wrote the New 52 Suicide Squad, and also was at this time doing a short-lived run on Nova, but about Sam Alexander, the Kid Nova, that
Yes.
just the problem with the Kid Nova. And I don't dislike him. It's just that in every opportunity, he is outshined by everyone he has put around, including on the Champions. Of the three main Champions characters, he's easily the least popular and least or most replaceable. And also, he is the second best Nova because, look, man, I even like I even like Sam Alexander, but he ain't Dick Rider, baby.
I was gonna see if you said deck. Listen, I'm sure Sean has written some other things. I will say this is the only comics of his that I remember reading, and I also think this could be the thinnest script I have ever read in a comic before. Because if this guy was getting paid by word count, some of these full pages of comics maybe have 5 words on them. It feels like it's amazing how little is actually on the page.
I am not against having few words. I am a little against it when the words and the story is bad. Because here's what happens.
Before you hold on a
Monarchs
sec.
are
Before you
Stalker.
no. Before you do this, hold on. I want to just say the
Okay, hold on.
pitch for this story should be fun. Like when I know that your story is going to feature Death's Head and is going to make a deep dive cut and bring back a weird Howard Chaykin character from Marvel Premiere, like that should be fun. And now, Zach, please explain to the audience what the plot of this story is that is not fun.
Okay, so the story is about Monarch Starstalker. We all know him, right?
Well, Monarch Starstalker is a Howard Chaykin Marvel Premiere character, and he's had a couple appearances. He's basically a guy that
He
flew
never
through a
got over. But he shows up in 1976 and then doesn't show up for 30 plus years.
Yeah. He has a couple appearances in I guess the first volume of Nova.
Not the first part. It's the DNA era Nova.
There it is. Okay. But he's basically a guy, he's a bounty hunter. He flew through a star, he got powers, he has usually a really cool golden hawk that's like also his nervous system, like
Is the
Phantomex.
is the hawk really cool? Because I'm not convinced. And I have read
you could make
I'm
this
looking at
character cool. This story makes it so he's an absolute deadbeat loser, and not like there's no reason that it would be interesting for him to be in this story at all.
It's really not. So he gets hired to capture the pirate Summers.
Yes.
He, being bad at his job, hires Death's Head. And we've talked about on this very podcast, Death's Head's kind of great.
He's awesome.
Yes?
He's not here. Yes.
Why doesn't Death's Head do Death's Head things or talk like Death's Head?
It's very confusing.
Why is he just a dude?
I don't know. It's like he had no idea, like Sean had no idea who Death's Head was or what his whole deal was, just that he was a bounty hunter. So it's very strange how he's written. In fact, the vast majority of these characters are written completely out of character.
Yes, it's so wild. It's so wild. Because here's the thing. I'm not like a Death's Head purist. I am not like, well, I've got to catch up on all of Doctor Who, so I know what's going on with Death's Head lore, and then I have to catch up with all of Transformers, so I know what's going on with Death's Head lore. For people who don't know, Death's Head was a Transformer that got transformed by Doctor Who into a big robot man thing and sent into Marvel Comics. That's
thank you, British
not
people.
right, but it's not wrong either. And just to be clear, the parts that aren't wrong aren't me saying Transformers and Doctor Who. All of that part is absolutely true.
That is correct. Yeah.
So I'm not like a big Death's Head like guy, but I know like 4 things about Death's Head because I've read a Death's Head comic book before.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you had to read one and you're like, oh, I get this guy's deal. He's not complicated. He likes money.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big robot bounty hunter man. And
Yep.
he says yes as a question at the end of everything.
Yep. Guess how many of those things he does in this story? Just one. He's a bounty hunter. He does appear to be about normal human height and does not say yes at the end of his statements.
He doesn't dislike money based on the fact that here's what happens. Death's Head captures the wrong Summers brother.
Yes.
Which
Cyclops.
On paper, very funny.
Mm-hmm. Not here.
Because Havoc was the one that did all the space pirating stuff in Shi'ar everything. Which some random... I don't even know how to describe. Just some like dudes are mad about. That's it. It's just like some strange people who this is their first appearance.
Yeah, it's just a random Shi'ar person, I think. But
it's just a guy. It doesn't matter, which makes the plot bad. It makes the plot bad that there's no real reason why any of this is happening. Cyclops gets captured. Death's Head does say, well, we're taking the money anyway, which doesn't even feel like a Death's Head thing to do. It feels like a standard space bounty hunter thing to do. Like, it's not even charming in the way that Death's Head is charming when he does crimes, regardless.
So because they have Cyclops, because Monarch has Cyclops, the Uncanny team, the Bendis Uncanny kids have to go after Cyclops. So
they do this. Nearly all of these people are in college.
You know what I mean? I'm just trying to clarify. You know, which team of X-Men we're talking about here. They do this by going through Sword, and then they infiltrate a Sword spaceship with Tony Stark as Iron Man. And then Monarch, in the meantime, goes and visits Nova, doesn't realize it's not the same Nova. And then everybody fights in the last issue for no apparent reason. And then it's over.
You would think that a story where Fabio Medina, Goldballs himself, Egg, as he were, a story where he has to trick Iron Man would kind of be funny. I'm going to tell you, the audience for that story is me, and it's Adam, and it should be good.
I think the problem here is that, I've already mentioned that the script is very thin, but
why is Iron Man so bad in this too? Also, you'll get to the problem, but he's written like we just haven't talked about it, and there's an Iron Man issue. He's only here because Kieran Gillen did Death's Head, but better in a Kieran Gillen comic with Death's Head. During his frankly kind of poor Iron Man run that I don't love, but did have Death's Head for a little bit. I'm sorry. The problem, Adam. Continue.
Well, we're so used to Bendis's voice on this era, and you know, to his credit, he's given each one of these characters a personality. We have an idea of what they're all about. Sean Ryan does not understand these characters at all. He tries to do this weird thing with the Uncanny crew looking at a picture of the New Mutants and saying something about how they're all forgotten or something like that. And that's supposed to be their emotional beat. And it's like, that does not work at all.
Which is wild because they're looking at a picture that's not, hey, these are all of the weird, they're not like looking at Gossamer and Birdbrain and Magma. Heck,
no, they're not
even looking
Cannonball.
at Cobra. Yeah. They're looking at Cannonball and Sunspot. It's like, yeah, these guys are forgotten. I'm like, they're currently Avengers.
You're right. They're not nobody. And so that's one of the big problems. I agree. Iron Man seems like extra stupid and out of
He does seem
character. And
stupid.
Nova is doing his I'm a dumb kid thing. Monarch is doing his I'm depressed and useless thing, and none of it is
Monarch is
interesting.
Monarch is them making fun of a character from the 70s, and while I love doing that, I don't get it. Like, I'm not in on the joke.
You would have to have remembered Monarch first to get the joke, right? And there's no continuity whatsoever or context given for you to get in on that.
Because he does it. Here's the thing. He's so down on his luck, he has sold his Golden Raven thing. The one thing I'd be like, wait, I remember seeing that.
It took me a couple of like pages to realize, wait a minute, did he say, oh, right. I remember seeing somebody do a Twitter post about this character, and I get it, I guess, but, and it's not just Sean Ryan's script. The art in all three of these issues is just terrible. It's really bad, very rushed artwork. There's a lettering mistake in the third issue that had my head scratching because it showed a line that was supposed to be for one of the cuckoos, but it was coming out of Tempest's. It was directed at Tempest, and it was like, it was saying that Tempest was reading characters' minds. And I was just like, what is going? Oh, that's what they did. That's what they did. They don't know the difference between these two characters because they're both drawn so similarly and poorly that they don't know, like the letterer doesn't know where to point the word bubble.
So, Adam, do you want to know, between the three artists on this, how many Marvel credits they had to their name before this comic and how many they had after?
I'm going to guess less than 5 before, less than 10 after.
Combined, all three of them had one credit from Marvel before this.
Okay.
And let's see, 11, 21 minus 3, 18 total after this. Some of those were Infinite comics.
Hey, I do hope that each of them got better at their craft, but
no, because I got so mad at Ron Atkins when he followed this up with his Moon Knight run with Cullen Bunn that I didn't buy Moon Knight, a book I really, really liked in general, which then that run got mixed up because Herman Peralta starts doing a couple of Cullen Bunn's issues, and the Herman Peralta issues are the best issues of the run.
I mean, you can't go up against Herman Peralta with this style. It's just not, I don't even want to call it a style. It's just not good. It's bad enough that the script is so poor, but when you pair it with artwork that it just looks so cheap, it looks rushed. It doesn't have any sort of formal quality for storytelling. And you end up with all of these characters that look like vaguely on model, right? But not really. And that's really not helped by the fact that the X-Men are in these sword outfits, for the bulk of the story too. So,
hey, comics artists, this is for you. Unless, actually, no, this one is, let me be clear. This one is for the writers. Unless your artist has a style where all of the characters have a very different silhouette and very different hair and facial structures, don't put them in matching uniforms.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Especially don't do it if they have helmets on, because that throws off the whole vibe. And I'm not talking about that book right now, but
I know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about Marauders Volume 2.
But it is a problem here.
One of the most insane choices I've ever seen. It is a huge problem here.
Yeah, huge problem. So this one's bad, and I don't really see that much need to talk about it much more. I didn't like it.
You want to rank it?
Yeah, I want to put it on our big old list.
That's the thing, Adam. We have a big old list. Have you ever heard of Sisyphus?
I have. Yeah.
From Greek mythology,
pushing that rock.
Day had to push a boulder up a hill, only for it to roll back down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's you and me. We're the Sisyphi.
The Sisyphi.
I didn't think about what the plural of that was before I said it, and it's funnier that way.
I like it.
Anyway.
Tell me about this list. Give me some
149
information.
stories on the road to 900, whatever. We've been doing so much of this. We're ranking them from best to worst. House of X Files Intense at 1. X-23 Touching Darkness at 200. 400 is The Amazing Nightcrawler. 600 is Judgment War from X Factor. 800 is that time that Jean teamed up with the Daughters of the Dragon and telepathically learned Kung Fu like she was a Neo from The Matrix. And the worst X-Men story of all time is 29 Word of Tomorrow.
Okay. Are we in the 600s or the 700s here?
I mean, this is worse than Ultimate War at 700.
Yeah, I'm looking down. We're definitely in the 700s here.
This is worse than Origin at 756.
Okay. Yeah, probably. Is this... Oh, boy. This is probably on par with Domino Volume 1 at 772. But even that, I think there were some attempts to make a story there.
That's the thing. I'm looking at things that make an attempt. And it can be a poor attempt. But they are making an attempt. Here's the thing. 797, Typhoid Fever.
Oh,
another
good comparison.
Hey, Typhoid Fever's got more going on for it.
I think so. Mojo Worldwide had more going on at 801. So now we're in the 800s.
Yeah, we kind of are.
Yeah. Okay. Geez.
This is better than Dazzler the movie.
I would agree. I think it is. I mean, I don't know. Is it worse than X-Men the animation special?
That's an interesting one because X-Men the animation special is a story. It's not a comic.
Yeah. Better or worse than X-Force Shatterstar?
Listen, and I'm not like wanting to give the Rob credit on this day. However, X-Force Shatterstar is better than this.
All right, so
why don't we like riding a pterodactyl or whatever it is? Yeah, that's better than this.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I'll say. This is a very bad comic, but it doesn't bridge to offensive, which some of the stories below this do. So I'm totally fine with slotting this in as our new 815.
Yeah, above Dazzler the movie, let's do it.
Perfect.
I also just want to stop ranking this comic. This one's bad.
That's a bad one. That's a bad one. All right. Well, I did enjoy this next one a little bit more. In fact, a lot more than the first story. So what is this one?
This next one is the 2011 annual event, Escape from the Negative Zone, with Uncanny X-Men, Steve Rogers Super Soldier, and Namor the First Mutant.
Yeah.
This is written by James Asmus on all three of them, with pencils by credited Nicholas Bradshaw. So we got an early Nick Bradshaw. Abraham Robertson and Max Fiumara. Max Fiumara. And I'm going to say right from the start, hey, those are three comics names that I have seen before and after this.
Yeah, and each one of them has a very distinct style. And I was, at least from from going from issue to issue, they're very different from one another, but I was still at least excited to see some kind of a visual language. Like these were exciting pages to look at, even if I didn't always love the style on every single page. I was like, okay, these artists are going for something, Yeah.
What you specifically, Adam, need to do is are you familiar with Max's work?
I don't know. I don't know that I've seen
the Namor guy.
Yeah. Where else would I have looked at his art?
You actually, no, I say this because you haven't read the BRPD stuff.
Oh, okay.
He does a lot of Hellboy. Hellboy stuff. He does the Abe Sapien series.
Oh, that would be perfect.
Okay, no, because as a series, Abe Sapien is a bad series.
No, but artistically, I can see already.
You get it immediately.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because he's kind of drawing Namor like Abe Sapien.
Just to be clear, because I read BRPD front to back starting this year. And actually, I think maybe, you know what? Maybe that's what I'm going to do over Christmas break is restart my Hellboy rereading or my
Oh,
Hellboy
nice.
reading.
Uh-huh.
Maybe just reread all of Hellboy and then also maybe reread all of the Hellboy supplementary material that's not BRPD that I haven't read yet. Anyway, I say all that to say Abe Sapien is easily the worst of the mainline Hellboy
Hmm.
BRPD books.
Yeah,
Like,
I've heard that. That's unfortunate. He's a great
ask,
character.
ask Anna about her opinions on it. We've had talks.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Also, loves that BPRD stuff. So I got to read that at some point. Now, what I will say, speaking of BPRD and Hellboy, all three of these artists do really good monsters, and it comes in
Yeah.
real handy here because the basic plot of this is pretty dumb. It's just that in a lab accident, some of the X-Men get sucked into the negative zone, and Captain America has to go and rescue them. And they have an adventure with Blastar,
I don't
because
get Blastar. I'm going to be honest. He keeps showing up
sure.
and across Marvel stuff, and I don't get him.
I mean, he's just a
Like,
cosmic big guy, right? Like that's all his deal
okay,
is.
okay, yes, but if you're already in the negative zone, you could just use Annihilus.
That's true, but Annihilus doesn't. I mean, he has the whole hissing thing, and like, I don't know. When you need a different vibe, when you need a big guy that's about 20 feet tall that's gonna blast you from his
Annihilus
hands.
can also be a big dude. I don't. That's not a controversial statement. Dick Ryder once ripped his guts from the inside out. Annihilus can be big.
Yeah, yeah. All right. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think Blastar is actually kind of fun here. He has taken over a prison that was built inside the negative zone by Reed Richards. And so what
Yes,
he's trying
that was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
yeah,
The
so
DNA
he's
stuff after Civil War. Yes, yes, yes.
yeah,
That's
so
where. Hey, wait. Do you know '90s Captain America character Jack Flag?
yes. Yes.
That's when he joins the. He
Okay.
was also in that prison.
Okay.
That's when he joins the Guardians of the Galaxy, and then
Yeah.
Nazi Captain America threw him out of an airplane later.
Oh
Which
man,
was worse.
amazing.
That's how Jack Flags died.
Jeez.
You know what? You know when Cap said "Hail Hydra"? That's after
Yeah.
he murdered Jack Flag, guy who hates space.
Wow.
I'm mad.
Casualty of war.
No one was mad enough at Nick Spencer for the right things, and the right things were killing Jack Flag.
Okay. um so when we say that some of the X-Men get sucked into the negative zone, specifically, we are talking about the very angry at each other Hope and Cyclops. Also, everybody's favorite, Dr. Nemesis and Namor.
Hey, I'm going to point out, you're saying everybody's favorite. A lot of people do not like Dr. Nemesis.
Oh, is that true? I like Dr. Nemesis. I think
I
he's kind
like
of fun.
Dr. Nemesis. A lot of people don't like Dr. Nemesis. And some prolific Dr. Nemesis writers are trying their darndest to make other people dislike him, but
yes, it is true. We need to really get back to the Utopia era Dr. Nemesis, don't we?
we do, by some of those exact same writers that are trying really hard to make people dislike him.
I know, it's so weird.
We'll get into it someday. Folks, yes. I've been having a weird one recently. Anyway.
But I will say that there are some really fun things happening here, right? This is just a very silly space adventure. It allows there to be this tension, this grandkid, grandfather thing going between Hope and Cyclops. Hope just wants to go on adventures with the lights. Cyclops is basically like, you're the mutant messiah, you're grounded. And there's some really fun interactions between the two of them. There's this great scene where she's like, Cable taught me everything I need to know about how to survive. You don't need to help me. And Cyclops is like, hey, who's got two thumbs and taught Cable everything he knows? This guy. It's like, it's such a really funny laugh line.
I hate it for Cyclops specifically, but I get what they're doing there. It's funny.
It's
It's like,
it's
okay,
not as
this
goofy
doesn't
as
work
I
for this.
just described it, but it's still pretty great.
He points to himself and says, "Who do you think taught Nate everything he knows?"
Yeah, and smiles. Um, and then, we get a built-in surprise antagonist because Namor cannot find water in the negative zone. So he essentially becomes their villain. He kicks the crap out of Blastar. He destroys
Yeah.
their portal to go back home, and they got to figure out how to do it. Luckily, Dr. Nemesis comes to the rescue.
Yeah, has that been a thing for Namor? And I've just missed it that he like really needs to be wet at all times.
I have no idea. I think what it supposes is that he obviously does need water in his life, right?
You know what?
But
I take this back. They did a very large movie about this like last year. Now that I say this out loud,
yeah,
that was the inciting thing in Black Panther 2: The Rise of Wakanda. Wakanda Forever,
yeah.
excuse me.
But
Okay, never mind. You're good, James Asmus. I just don't know
they
Namor.
also suggest that time is passing differently in the negative zone, right? So like even though it hasn't been that long outside of the negative zone, they're stuck there for longer. So like he's really just going nuts and needs that water.
So it's like Dracula rules, but because he doesn't have native soil, he has to just use any water.
Yes. Yep, pretty much. Now this is earlier Bradshaw. So he is doing the whole like face feature scrunched up thing, which is odd.
It is, but it's also very like it's very recognizably Nick Bradshaw from Jump Street.
Yes. It's by no means bad. It's just very noticeable in some of the compositions. However, he's already doing these like amazing, massive double page spreads of like punching hermit crab monsters in space, and that's pretty rad.
Oh, this was Bradshaw's first like actual Marvel comic.
Get out, really? That's impressive.
Yeah,
to come out of the gate this strong.
He did one. I actually don't know what if anything he was doing beforehand. One assumes that he was. He had a one pager in Origins of Marvel Comics X-Men, which seems like they're like very short stories about X-Men characters. I do not know. I should probably read that. That seems like, hold on. That's Cy Spurrier, James Asmus, Dwayne Swazerski, Jason Aaron, Mike Carey, Peter David, Marjorie Liu. Okay, hold on. Other writers that I don't like and we're not talking about on this episode.
Okay. Oh, all right.
It's just, there's a lot in this. And I think I was going to read an actual book tonight after we record. I am going to probably read this. Side note, by the way, this is the writer that I
yes, you just texted me. I see what you mean. So I think there is a lot of fun here. I mean, there's style. It is just a very stupid, like dumb space adventure. I realize it's not actually happening in space; it's happening in the negative zone, but I enjoyed it. Like especially after reading that last story that was so thin and really didn't have much going on. Like this was a really fun, exciting adventure that had enough character that I really enjoyed it.
Do you think Nick Bradshaw ever gets annoyed when people call him Goose?
Wait, why do they call him that? Do I not know this?
Because Goose's name in Top Gun was Nick Bradshaw.
Was it? I didn't know that. Okay.
I learned it.
I thought you were going to say, is he get annoyed at being compared to Art Adams, but he clearly is like doing an homage to Art Adams as part of his practice. So I don't think you would get annoyed at that.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Also, this was his first comic that wasn't by, oh no, he did. I take that back. He did a little bit of Danger Girl for Wildstorm. Like he did.
Oh, okay.
He did 4 issues of Danger Girl. He did a couple of Danger Girl series, but he was not like prolific until after this.
Yeah. All right. So I know that I've said that I
good for Nick Bradshaw.
I don't really have the vibe on what you were thinking as you were reading this. Did you like this book?
I didn't like it. I didn't think it was great. James Asmus is not a writer who hits for me.
Sure.
Just look, I bet he's a nice guy. I just like none of his stuff stands out to me or works for me. And this was no different. All of it was perfectly fine. I thought Captain America was written a little annoying in this. Like, this is very 2011. Like, we haven't done the reckoning of, wait, if Captain America is going to be like the most popular thing, we got to figure out how to do that without being as jingoistic.
Yeah, he's definitely a little.
This is like the last gasp. This is the last gasp of post 9/11 Captain America.
Yeah, no, I could see that, but it's definitely better than our first story. You want to try throwing this on our list here?
I absolutely want to try throwing this on our list. It's better than our first story. I don't know. I think it's like actually you're making me think of it as fairly better because like is this better than
are we better than 600 Judgment War?
That's kind of where I was looking, and I think
like we're in that like I wouldn't go too far into the 500s. Like this is just okay, you know?
Yeah, no, like I don't think this is better than 595's Curse of the Mutants, and I don't think Curse of the Mutants is good. I think it might be the dumbest thing ever. But I am starting to think that Curse of the Mutants as 6 issues knows what it's doing, and I'm more annoyed that entire Victor Glischer run just keeps trying to make vampires happen, and they aren't happening.
Okay. I think it's more fun than Blood Ties at 598.
I don't think it's better than X-Corp.
Okay, so let's make this our new 598. How does that sound?
That sounds fine with me.
All right, great. So that was Escape from the Negative Zone from 2011. And all right, so we've got one left, and we did tease this at the end of our last episode. Zach, this is Kings of Pain. And brother,
Pain! That's my Rob Halford from Judas Priest singing that last part before the giant guitar solo in Painkiller, like it was Pain Kinger, like Kings of Pain. Everyone knows 1991's Painkiller, the album that put Judas Priest back on the map immediately before Rob Halford got asked to leave, kicked out of the band. I'm still not 100% sure about that, but was no longer part of the band for all the 90s. And then they made a Mark Wahlberg movie about it called Rockstar because Rob Halford got replaced by Tim the Ripper Owens, who was a Judas Priest cover band singer.
Is that really what that movie is about? I had no idea.
And then Judas Priest was so annoyed with that movie because they said, all of this is wrong and makes us look really bad, that they took away any endorsement that they had of that film.
Wow. So in the film, it's a Judas Priest movie? Like they're licensed to say that?
No.
Okay.
But it was based on Judas Priest in the 90s.
Okay. I'm just checking because I didn't remember that being... I never saw the movie, but I just...
It's not good.
If Mark Wahlberg and Jennifer Aniston were in a Judas Priest movie, which apparently they are.
They weren't not. That's the thing. They weren't in a Judas Priest movie.
There you go. So, first of all, thank you for that. I mean, we haven't had any Judas Priest content on the pod in a while.
And I know that I've thought about Judas Priest several times today already, though. So.
We know that there's that contingent of our fans that always want that as part of our show. I just want to say off top that, Fabian Nicieza, who writes the majority of this, he is always going on record in his interviews in the past about how Shattershot is the worst thing that he ever wrote for Marvel Comics. And Fabes, no, it's not. This is very
Do you think this is worse than Shattershot? This is interesting, Adam.
Zach, this is really bad. Like, really bad. In
I'm not saying it's good.
Ways. What?
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying, you think it's better than Shattershot? Or worse than Shattershot?
Shattershot has like actual fun stuff happening in it, right? Like we get the Ricochet Rita reveal, we get that whole future issue of X-Force by Greg
That
Capullo.
issue's
Like
bad. That issue's bad.
there's still fun stuff in it. There is nothing fun about this.
Hold the phone. Do you not think it's fun when the Alliance of Evil shows back up, tries to fight something, and then the New Mutants / it's X-Force now, but they still have New Mutants on the title, immediately capture Tower, who's still very tall, and they stick little guns at his head like, we're still shoot ya. We're still gonna shoot ya. It's great, actually.
It's not even a little bit. And unfortunately, we get this
think about that panel all the time.
We get this amazing tease at the beginning of this story with the return of the exterminators, only for them not to be part of this story.
They get a backup at the end that's pretty delightful.
They do have that really great who is it that does it? It's the power.
It's the Bogdanovs. It's Judy
Bogdanovs.
and John.
Yeah.
It's
God. What a
backup. That is great, except for the continued part where they're like, "Oh, Anna Lee died," and I'm like, "No, I read Power Pack. She sucks." I get that she was an old lady that got gunned down in a hate crime, but she also personally was not like my fave.
It's they're little kids, you know. Anyway. Can we talk about? Let's just get some of the problematic stuff out of the way right off the bat. Let's talk about what this story is about. This story is about advanced idea mechanics have a great idea. They're going to put Proteus back together and put him into some body so that they can have their own Proteus. So
this honestly, great plan.
Great plan, except your execution here is let's hire an abusive mother who drags her child around on a leash to eat up the little pieces of Proteus that have been left around the planet until he is an absolute blob monster.
He is an inflation fetish man at a certain point, yes.
Until Proteus lives again in the body of this child, and X-Factor decides that the way to solve this problem is to convince Proteus who is a child, that he should
Proteus, who's like a teen. He's a teen.
Proteus,
which are children.
The body of a child.
Yes.
Who has been abused by her mother this entire miniseries. And X-Factor's solution to this is that he should commit suicide. He should kill himself. That is what this story is about. Do not tell me this is better than Shattershot. This is garbage comics.
That's an insane. It's an insane. I'm sorry. It's just like it goes past the point of like bad and into this is one of the most unhinged comics I've
and I left out the fact that the comic also implies that all of this is somehow being controlled and or bet on by a chess playing duo who turns out to be Toad and Gideon.
Yeah, the Kings of Pain.
They are the titular Kings of Pain.
The Kings of Pain.
What in the world?
I want to talk about Cyclops' line because this is great. He is assessing the situation. Coming in late says, "We have to make Proteus want to end his existence. The only way to save Earth, maybe all of reality, is to get Proteus to commit suicide." Unhinged, Fabian.
Totally unhinged. And the fact that there's a couple of things like this in this story. Okay. Farrell repeatedly uses racist Native American language and names against Warpath. He specifically asks her not to do it, And she continues to do it through the rest of the miniseries.
No. This is what you're missing on this, because it bothered me too. Frenzy calls him like Geronimo to like piss him off. And he says, hey, he punches Frenzy out, and he says to Farrell, who's like hanging on his shoulder, that's what happens when people are racist to me. And then Farrell does the same thing. It's weird. It feels like they forgot, or they just want us to. Fabian Nicieza does hate Farrell, so this may be intentionally making you hate Farrell.
I do have another. I want to go back to your Cyclops speech bubble, because I do have another speech bubble that I need to read aloud on this show that I cannot believe made it into this comic. Okay, this is still part of that same. This is still part of that same conversation in the 4th issue, the X Factor annual. After Archangel has listened to what Cyclops is saying and has now heard the arguments from the kids in the room, right? Who are like, no, we need to, help this child. This
the
is
kids,
what
by the way,
Archangel
the new
says.
Warriors who are in this comic.
Because Fabes writes that comic. So of course he's
I'm happy. I don't care about the new Warriors. You're never going to make me care about Justice or Firestar, but I'm glad that everyone's having fun. Silhouette seems great.
Yeah, sure. So Archangel, raising his finger to the sky, says, let's not be ridiculous here, people. We're dealing with 2 arrested personalities which have been abused since childhood. What are we going to do? Help them, quote unquote, come around to a decent way of thinking? Just soak that in, people. This are the heroes of your story.
This comic
basically
is
you're saying these 2 abused children need to be put out of their damn misery because of their awful trauma. What?
There's something I think about specifically when it comes to comics, and this also happens in a lot of like genre media, where you get too zoomed in to your own thing that you forget to read it to another person first, who is not like broken like you are. Like, my wife doesn't care about any of this stuff, to be clear.
Yeah.
My wife does not. She is not online. She is currently like not knitting. What's the one that you needlepoint stuff?
Oh yeah, cool.
She's sewing that into like embroidering. She's doing embroidering on things because she's found a new hobby and she thinks it's fun, and I'm so happy for her.
Yeah.
It's great. I sometimes say, "Hey babe, let me tell you this. Does this sound insane to you?" And then she'll say, "What are you talking about? That's the most insane thing you've ever said." It's stuff like this. It's stuff like when in the Jeff Johns Green Lantern, you got the power rings for Green Lantern. So you have the green power ring, the red power ring. Jeff Johns made them all. And then Jeff Johns, in one of his events, I think it was Brightest Day, made the ultimate power ring, which was all of the colors unbroken, which was the white power ring.
The white power ring. Wow.
And he didn't say that to another person first.
Jeez. Yeah. Sometimes you just need a good editor, I think what bothers
this is probably
me,
the issue of having editors be the ones writing the comics, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Somebody edit it for you.
Yeah. So I think the part of this that really bothers me is that the reason that they think that Proteus needs to die is because he has found peace in the afterlife in becoming kind of one with the universe, right?
Yes.
And when he reforms the area around Muir Island, and yes, we will get back to the fact that the timeline of this miniseries, this crossover also makes no sense. He has transformed everything into this sort of like geometric landscape, right?
It looks like a video game.
It does. Now, we are familiar with our X-Men having technology like the Danger Room that can really make you see and experience whatever you want. Why in the world does he need to die to get back to that when they could create a simulation for him that he could be happy in? Again. But no, their answer is they have to kill these 2 children. It's
Again,
wild.
you get too sucked into your own sci-fi concept to realize what it actually is. I'm not saying that this is not a truly bananas story. I'm just saying at a certain point, like my brain has shut off and I am full on like, oh my gosh mode. Because really, I don't think it goes completely off rails until that last issue, the X Factor annual, where they're
Oh,
like,
it
oh
didn't
yeah,
go
and the
off.
solution is to do the murder.
It didn't go off the rails when there was a small child that was being brought around on an electric leash and being made to gorge himself for 3 issues. That didn't
We weren't
set off alarm
we
bells.
weren't meant to think that was a good thing. That was the act of the villain in the piece. Like,
I know, but it's
I
just
get it.
so over the top, and it's like,
Okay, but
they've
it's yes,
outfitted.
this is a child being textually abused, but they're being abused by eating this ghost spirit of another person and inflating into truly comical proportions. Like, I get it. It's just like it's such a bad way to get across what you're trying to get across, which are some complex themes and ideas, but you're doing it with a lot of fetish imagery, Fabian.
There's just no reason for the like the story feels really fat phobic, and it doesn't need to be. The kid could be absorbing all the energy without having this like transformation. uh
Oh,
it's just
yes,
very
no,
odd.
it's very odd is the way I would describe Kings of Pain. Yes, Adam.
Yeah,
We should
the mom
mention
is walking
uh,
around in like an orange strife costume that AIM
I
designed for her.
I kind of love that design as a 90s design. I think
Oh,
it's
it
great.
could be great if it wasn't being worn by an abusive mom whose power was to leash her son.
Hold on. Let's not we like Strife's costume. Let's not pretend like Strife would not be an abusive mom if he had the ability to.
Oh,
Like
let's
if
hope
Strife
Strife
had
never.
kids,
Yeah, Strife shouldn't procreate. Let's agree.
I don't know. He tried to raise Scott and Jean really good that one time.
Oh yeah, just model parenting right there. Model parenting.
That
Did
was
we
that was the
mention?
point. Hey,
Did we
what's up
mention
with
the? Oh, go
Go
ahead.
on. Go on. You no, you do
I was
your
just going to
thing. You
say
do your
we have
thing.
not mentioned the big draw to Kings of Pain, which was these really stylish and great covers by Mike Mignola. So
They're
imagine
fantastic.
anyone's disappointment when they opened the books and did not find Mike Mignola drawing a single
Okay, but
page of this.
it's Gong Yep, it's Mark Bagley, it's Tom Rainey, it's Terry Shoemaker. It's not like bad artists. It's
It's
just
not the
not.
worst. No, it's not the
It's
worst.
it's just
Just
not Mike. It's just not Mike.
no,
Uh
it's not.
so Kings of Pain is insane.
It is. It really
Unhinged.
is.
Let's talk about the rest of this.
Should we talk about the fact that this, like, because of the New Mutants X Force line and the fact that this also happens like pre/during Muir Island saga, that it really doesn't make a dang bit of sense that X Factor ends up on the island? And oh, it's so weird. Like, they
It's
clearly
weird.
just don't know when this is happening.
Well, hold on. Where's X Factor? No, this could work. No, this happens literally between New Mutants 100 and X Force number 1,
Right. That is okay.
and it happens right before Muir Island Saga.
That's the part that doesn't make as much sense, because X Factor has to be summoned to Muir Island Saga by Professor X, and there's no indication that they've been to Muir Island and have had any interactions with
Yes,
Moira's island team.
but to be fair, Muir Island Saga is poorly written. It
I
had to be rewritten on
And
the
so
fly
is
right at the
this.
end.
Yeah, you got
This
two
is.
very poorly written things, and you're trying to squeeze these things together on one timeline.
Can we
It
talk about
doesn't
the
make sense.
backups? Can we talk about the
Let's talk about
backups?
some backups. We already talked about the really great Exterminators one. That's cute.
That's cute. No one cares about the new Warriors backups. I did not read the origins of the
Didn't
new
read
Warriors.
any of those. Did
I'm
you read
sorry, folks.
did you read the Freedom Force one?
The Razor's Edge? You know I read The Razor's Edge, Adam. With Fabes and Jerry DeClaire? Yeah, I
Yes.
read it. And
Thoughts?
Steve Butler. And Kirk Javan. So this is the crazy thing about this story. This is about Freedom Force going to Iraq during
Yep.
Desert Storm
Yep.
to extract a scientist.
Mm-hmm.
And the mission goes bad because all of the Middle Eastern supervillains just absolutely destroy them. Super Saber gets dead. Crimson Commando gets mutilated. And then later, like, we assume dead later. Blob and Pyro, or no, is it Blob and Pyro? Blob and Pyro get captured and Avalanche runs away.
Yep.
Hey, Adam, you know this is just a backdoor pitch for the like a backdoor pilot thing for the never happened Eric Larson X Factor, right?
Oh, is that what it is? Interesting.
'Cause
Okay.
Crimson Commando gets all messed up, and he's supposed
Yeah,
to be
that's
Super
right.
Soldier in that.
Yeah,
and
he was
you
supposed to
got
be Super
Pyro.
Patriot.
It's the
I didn't make that
it's
connection.
that. It's that.
Interesting. Okay. Cool. What'd you think of the Wolverine one where he fights his skeleton?
I think it's funny that there was a story where Wolverine fights his own skeleton. I don't have a
Also, like, I love the last page where he's meditating in the nude, but like he's specifically folded up so you can't see his junk.
yeah.
It's really funny. Well, okay,
It's
now
good.
the main event is probably the Mystique and Destiny backup in X Factor, right?
Okay, here's the thing. How did anybody read this and be like, "Oh yeah, they're just friends"? I know that like most of the Mystique and Destiny stuff is pretty explicit,
Mm-hmm.
but like to hear Hickman say it or tell it, I forget what interview it was. At one point, he was like, "Yeah, I didn't know Mystique saying I want my wife back would be a big deal. I literally thought we all like had read these things.
Right.
Like I thought this was like I didn't think I was actually breaking any ground on this one."
No, he's not. Right. Because here we have this is Peter David writing this backup story. Mystique is going to dispose of Destiny's ashes after she died on Muir Island. And she then has this flashback to Destiny taking her on a previous cruise. And, you know, this little flashback of Destiny just wanting Mystique to be happy, wanting to get some joy out of life. And then, Mystique, there's one aspect of this that does not work for me, but Mystique does throw the ashes Titanic style off of the back of this boat.
Which Destiny specifically told her to do when and where.
Yes. And what happens?
The ashes fly back in her face, and Mystique
The ashes fly back in her face. Mystique cracks up and is laughing because she knows Destiny knew this was going to happen, and it's just a chance for her to loosen up. Now, there is a Beatles song and Mystique singing the lyrics to it, which I think feels a little out of character, but
when she starts singing Obla Di Obla Da, life goes on, brah.
Yeah. Little weird for Mystique to be singing that, but whatever.
That's a weird choice of Peter David to put in his obvious favorite Beatles song. Like, oh yeah, Obla Di Obla Da. That's what Mystique should sing and joy with her.
Yeah, doesn't
I don't really get it.
Work, but the rest of it's great.
I've made a point on this podcast to say that two-time GLAAD Award winner Peter Allen David is not my favorite writer out there because I've read his comics. Like I know. This is a funny bit. Like this works. This one hits.
It's a sweet story about sweethearts, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I would say that backup is probably my favorite part of these 4 issues because the rest of it, man, it had been a while since I revisited Kings of Pain. This is really bad. Like really bad. And I know that you're on like I feel like you are definitely trying to get as much enjoyment out of it because of how bonkers it is, but it really is offensive. Like, I don't think Fabes had any concept of just how bad it was of what he was doing. But looking back on it, it really is atrocious.
Hey, quick question. Why is Shattershot at 565 on our list? That's too high.
I mean, that's too high?
Shattershot too high.
Man, there's fun stuff in Shattershot.
Is Shattershot better than Uncanny X-Men 202 to 203 Secret Wars 2?
Yes. That Secret Wars 2 stuff sucks. Let's not relitigate this right now.
I just think maybe one of us bought those comics when we were at an impressionable age.
Listen, are you trying to tell me that this story that we are talking about, Kings of Pain, is like somehow going to make it like higher than that? There's no way.
No, I think Shattershot's too high on our list. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, let's put that aside for a second. Like, you have highlighted the Muir Island saga. I think this is worse than the Muir Island saga.
I also think this is worse than the Muir Island saga. I don't think this is good. I just want to be clear. Like, this is worse than IVX. Probably it's worse than Magneto War at 663.
Yeah. Yep.
Where did we put?
Is it worse than Star Trek X-Men?
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's
kinda.
the Next Generation. Is it worse than the Nova Roma arc of New Mutants at 685?
That's a good question. Yes, because it's also worse than Heroes for Hope. Here's what I'd say. I would put this below X-Men The End, Heroes and Martyrs. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, I am going to go low. I would put it below that, but above Rise of Apocalypse. No, actually, no, Rise of Apocalypse. But I'd put it above the Gladiators arc of New Mutants at 708. Nope, because that is Bill Sienkiewicz art. I'd put it above Emma Frost's Higher Learning.
Okay, yeah, this is not better than Emma Frost's 7 to 12 Mind Games. And okay, that's a perfect place for it. 713 Kings of Pain. Oof.
That's above the first arc of Emma Frost. It's below the second arc of Emma Frost.
Yes. Jeez,
I didn't say Kings of Pain was good. I'm just saying.
I appreciate that you can read something like this and kind of rubberneck because, like, it is a car crash. You know, it's like
I am at the point in my media consummation that things no longer upset me. I just vibe with them. Now I get upset if book too long. If book's too long, and I'm already going to read it, but book too long, I don't like that.
Kings of Pain wasn't too long for you at 4 issues.
Honestly, it wasn't. It wasn't because the backups, almost across the board, were delightful.
All right, good. Well, look, if you can get any joy out of Kings of Pain, I'm glad that you did. And I hope listeners also enjoyed this very silly episode about annuals.
Adam, what do you got going on?
Well, hold on. First, you got to thank our patron again.
That's how we do the show. You're right. Patrick Stump, thank you so much. Appreciate all your Patreon support. Want to be like Patrick? Patreon.com/Battle of the Atom. Do it. Here. Do it and make us review something. I don't know. I'm just looking. Is there anything we want to talk about that we can like try and convince people to make us talk about?
Oh, there's always.
Could we convince people that the Al Ewing Rocket Raccoon comic is an X-Men comic? Do you think we could do that? I can come up with a compelling case.
Oh my goodness. How about we get some of the good annuals? I mean, there are some good standalone annuals we haven't talked about.
You keep saying that and you have yet to prove it.
There are definitely some that we haven't talked about. There's some Art Adams ones. There's the Wild Ways ones. Like there's some classic X-Men annuals that we have not discussed, and New Mutants. Anyway,
no, classic X-Men didn't have annuals. You're getting confused.
You got me.
What do you got going on? What do you got going on?
Not much. Follow me on socials. Adam Reck on Blue Sky and Instagram. Arthur Stacy on Twitter. Zach, what are we doing next week?
It's Christmas time again.
Jingle bells, jingle bells.
Yeah, that's it. It's Christmas again. We're gonna do a Christmas one, everyone. This is gonna be a Christmas one. You know what time of year it is.
That's right. Happy holidays.
We're running out of Christmas comics, to be clear. Again, some may say the show's gone on for too long. And to that I say, you're still listening.
And we're still
Our-
making it.
All I can say is our numbers are only going up.
Yes. Some people are saying we're getting better with age. I've heard that. Heard that feedback.
I've heard that feedback too, and I've got to say, folks, you need to raise the bar a little bit. We're just
You don't know how
having
to
fun
take a
here.
compliment, clearly.
No, I don't, Adam. I have anxiety. Until then, folks, this has been Battle of the Atom. We hope you survived the experience.
Get it!